In this one, I'm just going to be designing a house interior for a village in Cyrodiil, for Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil. So I'm just going to probably get started now, but so what you want to do at the start is you want to duplicate the cell, but I've already done that, so you just click on that and then you can just change the name and stuff over here. Like I've probably not the best way of showing it, but okay. And then so you want to start with a house interior, so when searching in the object window, it's always best to just go into all and use asterisks instead of actually looking for statics, and then yeah, that's always a very tedious way to do it, and here it's just better to do it this way. And you can just get the interior. Door into it doesn't snap into this one for some reason, so I'll just...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is this a prefab that comes with Vanilla Skyrim's
It's a
creation kit?
prefab. Sorry. Yeah.
That's
Oh
cool.
no, this one. Yeah, this one's from Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil. This is made by Marcus, I think. And you can start cluttering it with. I tend to just do Fireplace first, just to that gives an idea of how it's going to look. Nice firewood. Flipping in there, so it's fine if you scale it down with hold S and just... You can also just scale it by pressing 2 and doing this, but that's not a great way of doing it. It's better just to hold S and move your mouse. And you can just put it in there. Just get an ash mound just because. So you can place lights in here, so it's going to place this fireplace light. This is Shadowcaster, so you can only have up to 4 of them visible at a time, but since this interior is so small, it doesn't matter if I have a lot of them. I mean, it doesn't matter if I have like 4 of them or so. Not going to reach that limit. Turn on effects to watch the fire move and the light flicker as well. Okay. Since this house is in Calovia, it's going to have clutter that matches that, so like Calovian rug. One is one of the ones I quite like to use. It's best to get all of the big clutter items in first, like beds and things, before you get to smaller bits like cups and stuff, and food. So need to find bed. This is also from Beyond Skyrim Cyrodiil, so but there are base game beds as well. Sleep. something else you can do to scroll through things is you can hold Alt and you can just use the scroll wheel, and that's really useful. Somehow, if you adjust the light too much, it'll break it, so you have to just... no idea why it does that. For the... I do look at the exterior model for where the fireplace should be. But this exterior has the chimney is separate from the interior, so I had to place it on the exterior before another file, ESP. So for also lights, you shouldn't have a light that's just coming out of nowhere, so it's good to get candles or something. It's like a light source. So this is a village, I will just use rusty imperial candles. And for rotating, you can rotate by doing W and then doing this, but that's also very tedious. It's best just to... for this, I'm going to hold the C key and just move my mouse up and down, like I did when scaling. You can also hold X and it'll rotate that way, and Z and it'll rotate that way. It's always good to keep that in mind. Yeah. On scaling lights, you hold S for as well and move the mouse. And for changing brightness, you hold Alt, Control, and S and move the mouse. That's quite easy to do. Yeah, it's starting to look. So start adding other things like tables. Table there. Bricken table. Dresser. Add that over here. The bed. So obviously when they up in the morning, they're going to want to not walk across the other side of the house to get dressed. Also, I want to add like rugs around the bed as well. You don't want to have stone right next to it, but right next to the bed. Yeah, this is a vanilla rug, but it looks so generic and it just looks like it would fit a farmhouse or something anywhere in Tamriel. I wouldn't use one like that. That looks like Dwemer rug. It looks like something you'll find in Markarth. That is... I think that would be Nordic as well. You wouldn't want to use Nordic stuff in Cyrodiil. So I can just scale that with S. For buildings we keep, we do tend to have some buildings are larger than the interiors. This one is 1:1 scale with the exterior. So if I show you the exterior building, I don't know, it's slightly bigger, but it's really cool. This rug also is pretty generic. Stick that by the door as like a doormat. There's like this sort of also, when doing level design, it's always good to highlight the door as well, so then we'll actually see it. I know this is a house interior, so I mean, it's pretty obvious where the door's going to be, so it probably doesn't matter for this, but for like dungeons and things, it's always a good idea to do that. Helps with pathfinding for the player, I mean. Way I cycled through the objects, you mean like this? Do you hold Alt and you scroll with the scroll wheel?
I never knew that feature existed. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's only in SE. Why SE is better than LE. So when you're rotating something like this, you want to rotate this 90 degrees, you can do Control Q, or you can just click up that, but it turns rotational snapping on, and then you can just press Shift Q and then click on the farmhouse that sort of sets it to that grid, and then you can just rotate it 90 degrees. Obviously you don't need to do that if it's already 90 degrees, but like that, you're going to want to, because so there's Q, which just turns on the snapping snap, and it just means you're going in increments. You can also edit how those increments are. Right now it's 16 units. For moving stuff as well, like this, you can hold X, C, or Z and click on that. You can just click on the mesh and just move it around on an axis. Yeah. Or I think there was another thing you could press as well, but that was another tedious way of doing it. I forgot. Forgot what it was since I haven't used it in so long, since I don't really use it. Oh yeah, E. Yeah, you can press E, but that's also a tedious way of doing it. Just hold X, C, or Z, and just move it. They're slightly too big, I might scale them a little bit. You don't need a new light source for every light object. Since this light, let's move that. Since these light sources are so close together, you can just use one light, and it will pretty much just. Sometimes you don't even need a light source if it looks good. I mean, sometimes you don't need a light object. I mean, you obviously need a light source. Or do something like that side becomes unbalanced because that side has more stuff on it, so you're gonna want to fill this in with something. You can just add another one of these candelabra things there, but that makes it too symmetrical, so it's probably just add like furniture or something there. I'll see how that looks. Want to make sure it doesn't clip with the beams, obviously. That looks good. For chair, you're going to want chairs at the table, obviously, but this marker here is like that orange bit is where if you have it too far in, then the person's probably going to clip with it when getting in and out of the chair, so you, at the very most, you'll want it like that, but you can also just do it like that and stuff. And that area here is where player or just NPCs will get onto the chair, so they're not going to get on on or off from this side or this side. From that side. And obviously there's static versions which nobody can get on or off. You can just push those in as well. We won't use that one. Actually, I might use one. I don't. You can use interactable chairs everywhere, but it, sometimes I just want for this. It means I can push them in a bit more, just so then I have more space to work with. I can use them everywhere though. So it just makes it a little more interesting, I guess. Probably not. But Obviously, it's a good idea not to use shadow casters all the time. I've got 4 in here now, so I'm gonna start using flat lights, regular lights, which don't cast shadows. See the since you can see this stuff, you're going to want to use a shadow caster here. For stuff that is less noticeable, like here, for example, maybe actually at the door I could use, but that's less noticeable, so it's fine to use a non-shadow caster there. And for here, you're going to want to use a shadow caster. And you can just place some random plates and things. I'm using a shadow caster here because if I use a regular light, you can see it goes underneath and that just looks really bad. Like, there is no reason for... It just looks really flat. If I use a shadow caster, that I don't see any of that. It does come through the gaps through the table, but that's more realistic. And here it's less noticeable. The shadow caster, it just does that. It's fine, not too there. Place random things like it's there is a keyboard shortcut for deselecting, it's just D. Just press D and it deselects it. Something else that's also good to know is Shift F, which allows you to focus on something. So like if you're really far out and you like that, you can just press Shift F and you'll focus on it. Also do Control C with something selected and just Control V and then paste it. There is, for duplicating, it's Control D. Yeah, you can just duplicate a whole lot of stuff. And there's A, which turns on cell lighting and just it means you can see better when you're making the interior, but you can't see what the lights are doing. When you press A into here, you can see more how it's good looking game. And 6 turns on the lighting template, the image space. Wait. Yeah, the image space. Sorry. Confused by them sometimes. Oh, it's big. Yeah, this is perfect. No. For how to know what goes in the interior, I pretty much just look at a vanilla one, like to Angar's Mill, for example. You can see in here there's like lots of random mugs in this, tankards in this shelf. So you don't want to make any edits to this, but yeah, you got stuff like that. You should Nord candle for some reason. Looking at vanilla stuff gives you an idea of what you should do. Also keeps consistency with base game stuff as well. Yeah, also stuff that relates to the character that occupies the place. So for village interiors, it's a good idea to have random bits of hay scatter and stuff around. It just adds a bit more, generally adds a bit more coziness to it. It just, and also because it's village, probably makes sense. Table's probably too fancy. Yeah, that's good. So hold control and just select stuff, and then you'll have multiple things selected. You can just... the way I'm toggling lights is I'm pressing M, not the button up here. That's... oh wait, not that button. Yeah, I don't... you can tell I don't use the buttons up here very often. So you're going to want a cooking stand. Need to make food. Yeah, you're going to want the one with no handle, because it's not hanging from anything. And this is a good example to show snapping, so you just press Control Q and Shift Q, or just click the buttons up here. Then you can do Shift Q and then click on the cooking stand, and then just rotate it and then move it, and then it will line itself with it. Light's a bit bright, so I might just you can also add a chest in, because they're gonna have stuff. Gotta have stuff. A house. Like, obviously it's still an empty bandit chest because it doesn't have anything spawned in it, so fine. You can do loot by just getting a chest that doesn't say empty on it. Like this one is a ruins chest. It's gonna have it's gonna have these are all like loot tables and things that come with it, and you can do preview calculated result. And this one, when you search it this time, it's gonna have 7 gold. It's gonna have these in it. Then you can do it again. Have that. You can also change the level. So like if you're level 90, it's gonna be some potions as well, which is cool. A hay bale in here because obviously for cut off and stuff you're gonna want to have, for like a hay bale, you're gonna want a mound, like a small LO2. I mean no, just O2. I mean, it's the one I tend to use. It means that there's less of a hard cut off. Obviously for realism you want just random bits of hay everywhere around it. Obviously you can barely see this hay scatter, but yeah, it's more visible in game. Also add buckets. Yeah. Bucket you can fly on. If you like hold. So you also want buckets by the bed because it's like chamber pot. they can go to the bathroom. You can just get a cauldron. This is a Colovian copper one. It's also from the mod. Just add it by the bed. They don't have to go in the street. You want your village looking like Breville.
That's where this lecture's going.
Yes. For this also, it's this might look a bit weird. You might want to have that right under there, so then right under the window, because if it's there, you got looks kind of weird having that line. It's like it's probably just be by OCD. Want it like there because it looks better. Yeah, these wood beams are pretty warped. There isn't a full version of the cauldron, no. This is a item you can up. So if you turn on Havoc Physics with the control, I think it was, you can turn on Havoc Physics with Control H, I think it was. Probably the only hotkey I don't use for this, but you can Alt H there. Or you can just click that and you can see how stuff will move in the cell. Around like, and then you can do Control K and it will just reset all the rotations. Scale it if you want. There's one massive cauldron in Ilanelta's Deep, it was like that big, I think. Base in vanilla. So just put random barrels around because they need food. So also barrels from the mod, the vanilla barrels are different. It's caliper barrel. But you can only get calipers if you install Beyond Skyrim calipers, which I recommend you install. Good mod. These are containers, so you can also just search those as well. They'll have random loot in them as well, like barrel, like corn in that one and wheat in that one. Just bring a food barrel as well. You see, you don't want to have a mound like this. It's got terrible cutoff against the wall, right? Looks bad. Want something like that. There's less of a cutoff, and it slopes down before it cuts off as well, so it's a bit better. I'll probably just use this one. It looks good. Actually, just move food barrel there. Look somewhere in here, just because it makes sense. If you also want to rotate something, but it's want it to be not like you want it to rotate like that way, you can just press G and then you can rotate it like that more. You won't have to rotate it like 90 degrees in order to get it right. You can also double click on it and don't have it settle, which means it's not going to move unless you bump it. Bump it in game. And also do hanging animal rings. Basically just called animal rings on here, but you can also just have herbs and things hanging from them. by the window. Obviously, just hang your onions by the window. Probably not a great idea, but stick some lavender there. These are harvestable, so the player can come over and harvest them as well.
I have a question. Do you have, I guess, I don't want to say some study, but like, do you sometimes study just like medieval life in general when it comes to interior level design in a fantasy
Not,
game?
not really. I just look at the base game stuff. But no, it's probably not a good idea to keep onions by the window though, but I don't care. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna say these people are a bit stupid, but I'm not gonna do it. I was meaning the people living in the farmhouse are a bit not smart. Let's put some garlic there instead. Have a hanging rabbit there as well. That. Okay, that fixed it. Oh yeah, you can have some glowing mushrooms. Oh yeah, this is a pheasant. Pretty pheasanty. No idea why they're doing that.
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you know, like, at what point do you know to stop? Like, how much is too much?
Oh, I pretty much just go until a point that it feels right. Like once I have all these shelves cluttered, and once I've filled in pretty much the whole thing, like right now it still feels like it needs a bit of work, but it's getting there. It's almost done,
Yeah.
I think. Still needs stuff like clothes on the shelf on this, and
Is there like a hard limit on how many objects you can have in a level?
no, you can have. You can. It's best to go under 100% memory though. I'm at
Oh, okay.
0.74% though, so you can have a lot of memory. You can have a lot of stuff in these.
That's good. I have been playing a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, and housing in that is very limited in how much you can put in a place. So it'll be nice to be free of that limit.
Oh, is that for like buying, like furnishing your
that's-
house with?
Yeah, I mean that's like in-game content as opposed to
Okay.
actual modding. So
Yeah, I think that's more like limit with player homes and things. Oh yeah, A-lead pants. Okay, no. I'll stick some common clothes in here because farmers. So just put an hourglass here. Be good to have an hourglass somewhere around the kitchen or near the, because when they're making food and stuff, they want to like put timing stuff while you're cooking something. Oh yeah, thingy person, I'll add some cheese. Thank you for reminding me.
Cheese. Add
Some
or
cheddar cheese? No. um. Obviously this cheese has weird collision, so I'm just gonna do don't have settle on it, so otherwise it goes up to like that high. Got to add a light source here. It looks too dominating for the table, so I'm gonna choose something else. Yep, that might work with these plates. Yeah, this table, if I add any more, it's going to start getting over cluttered. So this is, I move the picture. That looks like enough. No, it's getting over cluttered when there's just too many colors and too much contrast and like just too much going on. Also add some baskets. You can press T as well to look on it top down. Probably won't use this basket because it's two different colors. It's kind of weird. Add some potatoes in here. And select them all and then activate Havoc Settle and you can see how they all havoc. Also add an urn somewhere. No. Maybe here. And this player can just loot this if they don't have any respect for people's dead loved ones.
This is Skyrim we're talking about.
obsolete. Having a woodcutter's axe in here is good for firewood and stuff. Yeah. And just have some firewood in here, just lying around. Yeah, I can do some mead, ale, and wine as well. And some beer. Let's do some beer.
Wait, that just straight up says beer in English?
It's Cyrodiilic, it's Tamrielic. Tamrielic is basically just English.
Ah, I did not realize that. Must brush up on my lore.
Obviously you want to rotate them a bit, because if you just duplicate them and do that, they look very... All being the same rotation, it looks very artificial. It's good to just rotate them around a bit, make them more natural, move them around. It's too many bottles. Add a small mead barrel. These don't necessarily have to be for mead, they can be for other things as well. Mead barrel. Yeah. Stack of plates. Add some sacks as well, because you can do less cluttering. You have to add all the individual food items. You just put the sack there and say that's where they get the food from. Storing it into the sack. When stacking plates, you don't have to select don't havoc settle, because if I just activate havoc settle, they're just going to stay like this. Oh, we're coming up. Okay, looks like we're coming to an end. I might just... Last thing I'll probably do is I'll just probably add some beam effects to it. And then I'll probably be done. Obviously there's nav mesh, but probably won't have time for that. Where you cycle through different types of objects is you hold Alt and you scroll. Plus, you can add like beams and things. You can use different lights to shine in there, and it will. It's very bright, but you can see like dust. I should probably finish for now, just to for questions, because we might run out of time otherwise. We're about to run out of time now. So does anyone have any questions on anything?
I will also
Thank you
say...
again. This is
Go ahead.
go ahead. Thank you again.
Um,
That was very cool to see, and also see the process happening in real time. I have a
No
question for
problem.
the shadow casters. Like, you mentioned a couple of times that there's a max of 4 per cell, I assume, right?
Oh no, it's just per room, or is in your line of view. You can
Oh,
also
okay. Mhm.
occlusion planes and stuff to.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because currently
hide
in an
them.
interior I'm dealing with weird lighting problems, and that might actually be the cause. Because
Yeah,
in my opinion they do look better, but then I probably have overused them.
Yeah, it's best to try and restrict use of them. Like
Okay.
here, I would have used a shadow caster, but it looks fine with a flat light there as well.
Thank you.
Here
Cool.
it looks bad with a flat one.
Yeah.
Problem.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you have like, is there like a different process between like testing like the mechanics, like walking into a room and sitting in a chair, for example? Just like basic stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that is a good thing to do with interiors. It's also what quality assurance does as well.
Okay.
To do that with your own stuff as well. Test it in game.
Do you have to do something special to make like the NPCs walk around in the world and like sit and do stuff?
Yeah, you do nav mesh and you like
Yeah.
triangles, but I'm probably not going to have time to do that today. Sorry.
I will say
Basically
some of
just
these topics
setting a
for
path.
level design, like nav meshing, we do have videos up. I can link the level design YouTube channel actually, or the level design playlist. It's in there.
I actually just started following.
Cool.
Yeah, but if you can link it anywhere, that'd be great. Just for reference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I missed. Do you start with a typical interior? In an interior, you start with the fireplace, and then I just do big things like the bed, and then dresses and tables and things.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my main question, really. Start with the big stuff, then go smaller. Okay.
Yeah, but also I generally do lights as one of the first things as well because it gives me a feel for it.
Thank you.
All right, no problem.
thank you so
It looks
much.
like. Thank you for watching.